Rants with Reason, Episode 5, Living Like It Matters, or You Are the Subplot. This episode is dedicated to Phoebe, the most incredible dog to have ever lived, and my pride and joy. Sometimes living life with God feels a little loony. Not because it actually is, but because the world you're living in no longer knows what sanity looks like, or just refuses to recognize it. You know, that whole only sane person in an insane world thing. But if you actually try to live prayerfully, to take every thought captive, to speak honestly and openly with God, from the outside, it probably looks weird. One dark and dreadful night, half asleep in a barn, I remember reading Francis Schaeffer say that being a Christian can feel schizophrenic. And I honestly cried because someone finally said the thing I thought I was broken for feeling, what I had intuitively felt. Not split between realities, but living with one foot in the visible and one foot in the invisible, rather than living as though they were indivisible. We're told today that the highest values are self-focus, self-expression, self-curation. You must start with yourself, right? The order is self, everything, and everyone else. But oddly enough, those are signs that those aren't signs of, or even some parts of self-actualization. They're signs of self-preoccupation. But then if you're self-aware and pay attention to your inner life, your motives, your conscience, your prayers, you're told that's narcissism, self-obsession. And if you care at all, you likely listen. But that's not actually narcissism. That's formation. Lies are only effective when they're founded on or allude to truth. It's like evil works because it contorts what is good for personal gain. And of course, evil never announces itself as such. The devil doesn't wear crowns or horns and all that kind of stuff. Self-actualization, it doesn't actually come from staring at yourself. It comes from alignment with and staying tethered to reality. And that's only possible when the order is maintained. So long as the order is maintained, God, self, you can actually live life to its fullest. But here's the lie we absorb. If you think about your own life too much, you're selfish. So we learn to apologize for taking ourselves seriously. But a life with Jesus actually does the opposite. It teaches you that your life matters too much to be treated casually. And strangely, a life of faith can feel like you're in a movie, and not because it's fantasy or because it's some imprint from content you've absorbed or a figment of your imagination, but because meaning has returned to the script, the scene, the characters, the frame. Every decision matters. Every small act has weight. Every mundane moment carries consequence. The plot has purpose. You're not the main character, but you're not an extra background either. You're the subplot. And subplots still matter because they're part of the story. That's not imagination. That's purpose re-entering the world. I used to call it finding Christ in the common, meaning in the mundane, the boring, the repetitive, the unseen. When everything is connected with purpose, that's not merely mindfulness, it's providence, a plot with a purpose. The postmodern modern world offers interconnectedness without meaning. Faith offers interconnectedness with direction. One dissolves the self, the other forms it. And this is where it stops being theoretical. Because the question isn't whether a worldview sounds meaningful when things are going well. The question is whether it still holds when life breaks open. And that's where grief enters. Grief isn't just about loss, it's about disorientation. When Phoebe died, it wasn't just sadness. For a long time, I literally couldn't imagine life without her. It was too terrifying to look at. On the flip side, it usually triggered the Stevie Ray Vaughan song Life Without You on my mind's radio. But then, moment by moment, I'm slowly realizing that I don't have to imagine the whole future all at once. I just have to stay here. Kind of like another Stevie Ray song, Life by the Drop. One step, one moment, one day at a time. That's also something I learned in recovery. Progress, not perfection. Or more accurately, spiritual progress over spiritual perfection. Incremental gains. That's how you stay tethered to reality when grief tries to pull you into the future or trap you in the past, which that's what grief does. And it's impossible to consider the present when your mind is stuck in the past or worried about the future. That's when the spirit kicks in, not as something separate from your body, but as the depth of reality holding it together. Faith doesn't erase grief, but it gives it a place to land, structure, order from chaos. Because the spiritual is indivisible from the physical. It's a story big enough to hold sorrow without making it meaningless. A life with Jesus should feel worth telling, made up of lots of stories worth retelling. And that's not because you're the hero, but because redemption is happening in real time. And if that feels strange in a culture that treats life as content, good. That might be the clearest sign you're actually awake, living in the real world. Clarity is the starting point, and clarity can only be found with truth. I've often said if we aren't grateful for what we do have, why do we deserve or why should God give us any more? As Saint Therese of Lisieux, pardon my pronunciation, so beautifully put it, all is grace. And her little way is precisely the type of life with purpose and meaning that we are describing, aka holiness. All is grace. And I'm not going to walk off this time. If this topic piques your interest, please share, like, and subscribe. Thank you.